Y'all, this is just a quick precursor video like I always do these days, especially when it's a video like this one where I have a bunch of clips that I'm putting together. This video is just an update video, y'all. It's an update video and a documentation video. So the next clip you're going to hear is me introducing the video, and then I'm going to give you basically what I'm doing here, but in more detail, a brief description of what's coming in the video. I'm going to talk about the clips that are going to follow the next clip, which are clips documenting energy weapon attacks. And there's also a clip that's going to follow that contains info about how you can get nano out of your body. And in the next clip, you're also going to hear me give y'all a brief update on my health scare situation. Those of y'all that have been keeping up with my videos, you know what I'm talking about. If not, don't watch this video yet. Watch this health scare video that I posted 2 weeks ago, and then watch this no losses poem video, because at the end of the poem, I give an update on my health, on the health scare that I talked about in the health scare video. So in this video, it's just another follow-up, y'all, giving y'all more info on the injury and, you know, what's been going on with me and, you know, what happened when I did go to see the doctor. That's what you're going to hear in the next clip. Then the clip after that is going to be a clip where, like I said, just talking about the nano, how you can get it out the body. And then after that, you're going to hear a series of clips with me just documenting energy weapon attacks. Things have gotten better within the last 2 days since I've made these clips, y'all. Like literally last night, they gave me a schedule full of security posts at my old job where I used to be a correction officer, and they were hinting like I'm going to get my job back, because they've done that before, and then it didn't happen. So, I mean, they say, Sharifa, you are hired again, walk through the door. I'm not really getting my hopes up all the way like that, but this seems like promising. I mean, it has before, but I mean, it seems like I might get my old job back. I don't know. I'll keep y'all updated. I don't know. I'll keep you updated. But anyway, things are a little bit better since I made those clips you're about to listen to. So things are better, but still I have the documentation of how many times I got hit with the energy weapon, just in case, you know, because I told you it does cause dysphagia. I've had difficulty swallowing actually since changing my diet, which is also what I talk about in this video, y'all. I've changed my diet and adapted a healthier lifestyle. Since changing my diet, it's been a lot better, actually. I've been feeling a lot better, lighter. I work out, I'm active. But I'm under a lot of stress. I get hit with energy weapons. I was consuming a lot of dairy products and protein, the unhealthy kind. So I was feeling the effects of that. I was having pre-hypertension off and on. And then I was slipping and eating junk a lot too. I wasn't keeping up with my diet. So since I've switched back to a healthier lifestyle and I'm pescatarian now and I'm sticking to my diet and I'm drinking healthy juices, I'm juicing a lot of fruit and veggies, etc., I'm just feeling a lot better, really good. So anyways, y'all, just what the video is going to have in it. I also want to make a quick correction. In the next clip, you're going to hear me talking about what caused the health scare in the first place. You're going to know if you listen to the health scare video. But I still gave a brief recap of what caused it in the next clip. And I said when I got into the new gym, there was a gang stalker interacting with me. Before I got to talking about the gang stalker that interacted with me and distracted me, I was talking about the fact that in my old gym, I used to use the Smith machine a lot. And now that I'm in the new gym, I've switched to free weights, especially as it pertains to squatting and deadlifting. And so I'm now using the 45-pound barbell, but I said dumbbell in the next clip. So I just wanted to make that correction real quick. So that's it, y'all. And I also want to apologize if it sounds like I'm talking super fast in the next two clips. In the third clip where I'm talking about how to get the nano out of your body and stuff, I'm talking a lot more clear. I'm not talking as fast. The grammar's better. You know, I sound kind of rambly in these next two clips. It makes sense. It's clear. It's not like it's a confusing video. But I listened back and it sounded like I was rambling and talking fast. So the third clip, things do get better. And then the other clips that follow, however many clips, it's a lot, 20-second clips. It's like 15 or so 20-second clips with me just documenting different times where they were hitting me with the energy weapon. Those clips are clear, obviously. I'm not talking fast, but I do sound irate, angry. Not like I'm exploding or anything like that, but obviously upset I'm getting hit with an energy weapon. So just letting you know, like, these are different times that I created these different clips, and so you're gonna hear my tone change and the pace that I'm speaking at and whatever. So that's it, y'all. I just wanted to do this precursor to let you know what to expect. All right, I'll talk to you in the next one. Peace out. Hey, y'all. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Sharifa, and my poetry name is New Lily. If you're new to my channel, please check out the links located in the description box and comment section. And in both locations, you'll find an identical set of links that lead to videos that talk about what started my targeting in 2020, as well as links that lead to videos that share information about the targeted individual program, information about the tactics used on targets, information about the technology used on targets, and information about the program in general. There's a plethora of info on this channel, y'all. I've documented my journey for the last 3 years. I haven't been documenting from the start. I didn't even know I was a target until year 2022. If you listen to my story, you'll hear the whole thing, y'all. I didn't learn I was a target until 2 years into my targeting, year 2022, when I tried to relocate off of the island where the targeting started, the island I was born and raised on. And when I got to the States, the mainland, I realized the targeting followed me. It blew up. I had some reactions. Most targets do, especially if you don't know that you're targeted and you don't understand what's happening to you. I had some adverse reactions that made the targeting blow up, and I ended up coming back to the island that I tried to relocate off of. So that's where I'm at now, y'all. I'm on the island where my targeting started, and I've been documenting since coming back in 2022. So what you'll see on this channel is 3 years, almost 4 years worth of content of me documenting my experience as a target. Entities that attach themselves to my program, gang stalkers, etc. The whole 9 yards, y'all. I've been through it all. As I speak, I can hear someone that's been in his yard all day long staring at me, making weird, creepy noises. Like, these are the things you deal with as a target. You have people that they have nothing but time on their hands to dedicate to sitting and staring at you and tormenting you. It's a strange, creepy program. When you get in this thing, you start to see some real scary stuff. Some sides to people that you didn't even know existed. Like, you just start getting real creeped out. Like, you wouldn't think that this existed. You know, certain things that they do in the program typically by standard would be considered weird, but they do it. You start seeing creepy stuff. Like, I'm telling you, I have this neighbor right now that from the time I got home this morning when I got off work, y'all know I do security at night, he's been engaging and making noises over there and doing weird stuff. To now, 5:04 p.m., still making noises, trying to get my attention, lingering in his yard. I don't even know if the man went inside his house to wash his behind, eat a meal. I don't know. Because all day long, I've been hearing noises coming from his yard. I went to sleep for a couple hours. I woke up. He was still over there making strange sounds. I don't understand. It's a strange program when you get in, and it's very creepy. Anyways, and then they'll paint it like you're this bitch or you're this horrible person because you're creeped out by what they're doing. It's just this really weird thing when you get in it. I can't explain how strange it is. It's very odd. Anyways, so nonetheless, y'all, I didn't mean to go off on a tangent because I gave the gang stalker the attention that they were desperately seeking all day by doing what I just did there. Anyway, so that's not what this video is. I mean, that was what this video is about. Not specifically that gang stalker. He's just one of the many. The video's about or documentation of gang stalking activity. Just a series of different mini clips I took recording when I was being hit with energy weapons. That's what this video is about. So the next clip actually I made yesterday, y'all, where not only was I documenting an energy weapon attack, but I was also talking in detail about my experience over the last few months, how they've been hitting me off and on with the energy weapons at random for no reason, when they're upset, when they're in a bad mood, if something happened that was out of my control that they didn't like, they'll hit me with the energy weapon. Sometimes they're landing cockroach drones on me. They have insect drones, y'all. That's part of the technology they use on targets. Actually, the way they surveil you are insect mosquito drones. Check out the links in the description box and comment section to hear the info about these drones. But the mosquito drones have cameras, microphones, and a syringe on them. And the syringe is what's used to inject you with the RFID chip, which is an acronym for radio frequency identifier. So that's what's used to get the fingerprint of your brain and do the neural monitoring, where they can hear your thoughts, see your thoughts, push thoughts in your head if they want, send dreams if they want, push synthetic voices in your head if they want, V2K, etc. So it's scary stuff, y'all. It's really high science, scary stuff. We're in the technological age, and really it's just a sign of the times. There's also a video in the description box from a Harvard DARPA scientist, Robert Duncan, who's one of the progenitors of the technology. Like I said, he works for DARPA, so he's a reputable source. And he has an interview with Len Burr, who's a well-known target, where he confirms COINTELPRO, i.e. the Targeted Individual Program, and he talks about one of the main agendas behind it. There are many. But there's a main agenda to microchip everyone eventually in all the different societies around the world. So this is not an America thing. This is not a Western Hemisphere thing. This is more of a UN type thing, like United Nations type thing. And he was describing it as a New World Order agenda. That's how he described it. I didn't know about this stuff. I just do research. I like to read. And this is something that's directly affecting my life. So obviously I sat on my ass and I did research. I don't have much going on at the moment, so I have nothing but time on my hands. And I refuse to be creepy like the gang stalkers and try to pay attention to what they're doing. I could give a rat's ass. I'm more focused on myself. So I sat and I did research, and that's how I learned about this stuff. And I came across the video with Robert Duncan and Len Burr, where Robert Duncan was talking about the agenda behind the Targeted Individual Program, and how there's some sort of New World Order agenda. And the intention is to have different hive minds with the different governments, where everyone's brain will be connected to some sort of computer interface. And a lot of the tactics that you see used on targets will be just the norm, everyday life. Everyone will be going through that, and no one will have privacy. This man talked about it. Check the interview out in the description box and comment section. I'm not sitting here trying to, create whatever. This is real stuff. This is not folly. It's reputable. I used a reputable source, Robert Duncan. Check it out, y'all. Do your research. Learn about Robert Duncan. Anyway, he even has a book called, what's it called? Soul Catcher. It's called Soul Catcher. You understand how they're playing God with this and how this is blasphemy? I got to be careful with my words because I could get into trouble. But you're playing God if you're to the point where you're describing this as catching someone's soul. Now, you can't really do that. But the brain and the mind and the psyche is the soul of a person. So if you imprison that, then it would seem like you've caught their soul. Anyway, so nonetheless, check out those links in the description box and comment section and learn about this stuff. If you're new to targeting, if you're not new, you probably know about some of the stuff I've talked about. Some of it might sound familiar to you, might not be foreign concepts. And if you're not targeted, you still need to learn about this stuff because, like I said, this technology is going to be used on everyone, according to Robert Duncan, a Harvard DARPA scientist. Anyway, so nonetheless, not trying to be dark. I'm sorry. I don't mean to get into that type of stuff, y'all. It's just the reality of things, and I learned it. I didn't mean to. I was just doing research, trying to figure out how to get out of this crazy shit. It's scary. And the more I was researching, the more I was learning. It's not like I'm a whistleblower. This is not private info that I was privy to when I decided to sit on my ass and squeak like a hawk. This is stuff I found that's public info. Anyone could find it if they did the research. It's just pertinent to me because at the moment it's what's, this is taking over my life. Everyone else isn't really dealing with it at the moment, so it's not important to them. Some people might have foresight, like, damn, this is coming, that's scary. And other people, like, they don't give a rat's ass. It's not bothering them at the moment. They're free at the moment, so who gives a rat's? A lot of people think that way. So anyway, So this video, though, y'all, wasn't about that stuff. I just kind of went off on a tangent. Just check out those links in my description box and comment section where you can hear my story, how I got targeted, and then listen to all the info that I share, you know, of the things I've learned over the last 3 years, my experiences, etc. Learn about the technology, how they surveil you, etc., etc. The video is really about documenting energy weapon attacks, like I said. Random energy weapon attacks. They've amped up with the energy weapon attacks these last 2 to 3 months. You know, I'm fearful for the long-term effects it might have on my body. It's being done illegally. It's inhumane. I haven't committed a crime. There's nothing I can do to get away from it. So I'm documenting. I'm documenting for my safety and my protection because this last month was real bad. I have about 15 clips you're going to hear, little mini clips of me documenting every time they were hitting me with the energy weapon and showing the date and the time. So the next clip you're going to hear is about 18 minutes long. It's from yesterday, where I documented another energy weapon attack, and then I kind of started going into details about nano and how you can get the nano out of your body, and briefly talking about what I've been going through with the random energy weapon attacks. And then after that clip, you're going to hear a series of mini clips, like 20 seconds, 23 seconds, 20 seconds, you know, short little clips with me just showing you the date and saying they're hitting me, it's this and that date, and it's this time, and they're hitting me with the energy weapon. So this is just a documentation video, really, y'all. But it's also informational, because in the next clip, like I said, that 17-minute clip, I do give you a little bit of info about the nano and how to get it out your body. But I have a video like that on this channel already. Let me scroll to it. This video that says anti-nano bucket info for targeted individual. It says a year ago, but it's damn near 2 years ago, y'all. It's a year and change ago. If you were to round it, basically 2 years ago. You can see the thumbnail is of water, and you see like this silvery sheen over the water. That's nano. That was pulled out of this guy's body because he made an anti-nano bucket. So check that video out, y'all, if you want to get the nano out your body. This is pertinent info, not just for targets. Everyone has the nano in them. It's in the titanium dioxide that they put in foods. Look at the back of Skittles. Look at the ingredients for Skittles. You'll see titanium dioxide. Titanium dioxide is a derivative of nano. Everyone has nano in them. But targets have it at a higher level. Obviously, they inject it directly into you. Sometimes they're injecting programmed nanobots into you. Scary stuff. So it's a lot different to what regular people have going on. But nonetheless, everyone should be using this and pulling the nano out of them because it's toxic to the body and it creates biofilms in the body. Anyway, y'all, so that's what the next clip is. Me just giving you a little bit of info about the nano, how to get out your body, talking about my experience with them hitting me with energy weapons a little bit. It's about 18 minutes long. And then after that video, you're going to hear a series of mini clips. Like I told y'all, 20 seconds long, 23 seconds long, just saying, yo, it's this date, this day at this time, and I'm being hit with the energy weapon, just for documentation purposes, y'all. Oh, also quickly, let me just give y'all an update on my injury. If you've been checking out my videos and you've listened to the last few videos, you all have heard about what's going on with me with the injury I incurred about 2 weeks ago. These last 2 videos I posted, I talked about it, y'all. The health scare video you see on the screen, the targeted individual gang stalking in my new gym video, and you see it, the thumbnail says health scare. And then the second video that says no losses. That's a poem. I post my poems, right? And then I do a little talking at the end of my poems. As you can see, it's longer than my typical poetry videos. And that's because I was also giving you all an update on what was going on with the injury. Well, I have another update again, y'all. So obviously this is days later. You see that was from 13 days ago, right? So that was shortly after the injury had happened. I had already started reversing whatever. Now we're 2 weeks, it's 2 weeks in, and I've made even more progress, y'all. You're gonna hear in the next clip where I'm talking about the nano and how to pull it out your body. The 17-minute clip I was just referencing, y'all. You're gonna hear me talking about the things I've been doing to heal myself. I didn't really talk about the progress I've made. I realized I didn't talk about the progress I made. I just talked about the things I've been doing, how I changed my diet and this and that. In the last video, I believe I talked about the pelvic exercises I've been doing. I made progress. So what happened is, y'all, for those of you that are new and you didn't check out those last 2 videos, please check it out. Don't start here. So you can hear what caused the injury and, in detail what's going on. I'm just going to give you a brief recap of what's happening. About 2 weeks and change ago, in my new gym, there was a gang stalker that was next to me while I was setting up my plate to do the 315-pound deadlift. Y'all know I deadlift heavy. I don't anymore. Let me scroll and show y'all if you want to see what I be doing, because now at this point it's just documentation that I have to show that, yeah, at one point in time I was deadlifting 300 pounds. I'm not doing that anymore. Once I get myself healed, God spare, I am trying to go back to squatting at least 200 pounds, 215. But I'm not trying to put unnecessary pressure on my pelvic floor, deadlifting 300 pounds. It's not necessary. I was really just doing it for about 5 reps. Most of my deadlift reps were at 140. And then just for strength and testosterone boosts, I would do the 315-pound deadlift, like 5 reps of it, because that increases testosterone. But I don't need to do that. And also, you just feel good doing something like that. It just feels cool. But yeah, I don't need to do that. I was putting unnecessary pressure on the pelvic floor. But you can see, if you want to see me doing it, these are videos of me documenting myself doing those lifts, right? I have it right here on this channel. Y'all can see it, the 300-pound deadlift. Then I have the 230-pound squat. And I have the 370-pound hack squat. That was in my old gym. Anyways, y'all. So in the new gym, rather than using the Smith machine, I started using the free weights. And I started using the 45-pound dumbbell. I just liked how they're set up with that free weight dumbbell was, where it's in front of the mirror and I can see myself. So that's what made me switch to that form of squatting and deadlifting. So anyway, I started going a little heavier with the deadlift. I went up 15 pounds from 300 to 315 for my last 5 reps. So I noticed this one day, I went in there and I was setting up the deadlift and they had a gang stalker to the left of me. I'm not going to tell the whole story again, y'all, because I told it in this health scare video. So really, you need to check that video out if you want to hear the whole story. But anyway, he started interacting with me and offered to help me load up the plates on my deadlift. Not on my deadlift, on my barbell. And in distraction and basidiness, and remember, y'all, basidiness is island slang for being flustered. In my flustered way, I didn't pay attention to the fact that the plates were not being loaded properly. And so I think I might have even been the one who told him to put an extra plate on the wrong side. I don't think that was intentional. I think distracting me was intentional. I think being malicious was intentional, because if you listen to the video, you'll hear that he wasn't really there on a friendly note. He was there. I mean, I knew he was a gang stalker. He was wearing all white and he had a green hat on. But I thought the way he was doing the gang stalking was in a way to, that kind of way where they're trying to show that you need to be amicable to people of all different walks of life, because they have this warped perception that I'm this prejudiced bitty that has a problem with different races because of reactive abuse. Like I told y'all, when I tried to relocate off island in 2022, I had some horrible reactions. I was actually going to Indiana, which is a predominantly white state, and I knew that. So obviously I'm not prejudiced. But I had some experiences in Indiana that were racially charged. And when I got down to Florida, it was even worse. The gang stalking was even worse. And I sat in my car eventually and I started sharing some horrible, offensive content. It wasn't just racially charged. I came for Christians. I came for this person, that person, the third. And that was really where the targeting blew up to the highest level it could, and what really put me on the map, just so you know. Anyway, nonetheless, they have this warped perception that I'm this I've proven that I'm not. I even showed them my family tree and showed them that my great-great-grandfather was white. They dug in the past. I showed them. I told them. I didn't show them. I told them about this ex I had from Colombia named James. He had green hazel eyes, like these greenish hazel eyes. He was from Colombia. On his application, he used to check off Caucasian. I dated him shortly. He was one of my most recent boyfriends. I mean, I've been single for 3 years now due to the targeting. But the last boyfriend I had was shortly before I became, it was while I was a target. It was 1 year into the targeting, I think. I was with this Jamaican guy that I had met in college. Before that, the boyfriend before him was James, the Colombian guy. Anyway, so they know I'm not prejudiced. I'm a bitch. And it's reactive abuse. I can be a bitch. A real bitch. When I'm offended. Shit, I was even just talking about last night this kind of warped relationship I have with someone in my close circle, because he was doing abusive gang stalking tactics when we lived in the old neighborhood. And I used to get so angry. I used to think really mean thoughts towards him. I think that's what a lot of what's going on now is too. But But nonetheless, you know, it's just like this warped mentality. It's like you're doing horrible stuff to the person, you think they're going to sit there and be peachy and keen. Obviously, they're going to say mean, nasty stuff. Anyway, so that's been across the board with every situation. Like, I just have these nasty reactions. I've learned to control them better now. And then I get vilified for it. And it's like they're negating what caused it. It's like they don't even look at the cause. They just look at the effect. It's this weird thing with targeting. Anyway, nonetheless, so that's what's going on. There's this racial element to my targeting. And so that's why he was in there as a gang stalker, and he was wearing all white and the green hat. I knew he was a gang stalker. It was obvious. But I thought he was coming on a peaceful note, like this thing where they do sometimes, where it's more constructive rather than destructive with the gang stalking, where they try to make you have these amicable interactions as a way of teaching you, I guess. I thought that's what that moment was. And then I realized after the fact that it was just malicious. You know, they were trying to push the thirsty narrative again in the new gym. He didn't even look like that type of gang stalker. If you listen to me talk about it in the health scare video, it was one of those situations, because this happened at one of my security posts too, with another, this was a female they tried to use. Another gang stalker where the person was being friendly to me and I thought it was genuine. And I didn't know they were using the person as a honeypot because the person didn't fit the characteristics of a honeypot. And I didn't realize till after the fact, when the person, whatever happened, you know, malicious act happened after that it was like, you know, done with malicious intent. They're using just about anybody as honeypots. I think at this point they're thinking that because I've been so isolated and they're blocking up everything. I already told you what they do. They're blocking up everything. Even if I wanted a boyfriend right now, I couldn't have one. I think they feel like they've isolated me so good, and that I've been single for so long, because it's been about 3 years now that I've been single due to the targeting being at the level that it is now. I think they feel like I'm desperate and I'll just take anything that looks like it's giving me attention, is what I'm catching on to. I think that's how they feel. Mind you, at the beginning of the year, I was getting a lot of attention, right before certain activities started. Before certain things, not the beginning of the year, before the thing with the dude in the gym happened. That was when things went real bad in my targeting. Prior to that, I was getting a lot of attention and I was getting backlash for it too. Anyway, nonetheless, whatever the case is, I'm not desperate. So despite whatever tactics you're using and blocking up this and blocking up that, attraction is still attraction. So I'm not going to be attracted to just anything. I'm not a vain person, but I'm not going to be attracted to just anything and anyone just because it's giving me attention. That's ridiculous. And offensive. Anyway, so nonetheless, whatever the case is, that's what's been going on, you know, recently. They were just literally, it seemed like trying to throw anyone at me and in hopes of me being like, oh, you gave me attention, you're being nice to me, I like you. Like, I don't know what's going on. Anyway, so nonetheless, that's kind of what was happening in that moment. I didn't realize it was the thirsty thing, and I thought it was more of a constructive gang stalking moment. Nonetheless, I don't think, because I'm not meaning to go off on a tangent. If you want to hear the whole interaction between him and I and what led to the barbell being loaded improperly, you can listen to this health scare video. But nonetheless, I don't think he did that intentionally, though. I can suss people out and stuff. I don't think he intentionally loaded it improperly. I think that was me bassetiness, because he kept asking me which plate, and I would point to which plate he needed to put on. But it's just the whole interaction itself made me so bassety. If they would just leave me alone and stop gang stalking, especially if it's with malicious intent, I think that's where the bitterness comes from. But nonetheless, I was so bassety, I made him put too many plates on the left side. And so when I deadlifted, it was an imbalanced deadlift. And it's heavy. It was a 315-pound deadlift. As I'm deadlifting that heavy-ass weight off the floor, and I believe that was what started the drop in my bladder. I think my bladder, actually, to be honest with y'all, I still don't know what's going on. I finally got in to see a doctor. If you watched the last 2 videos I told you all to watch, you all have heard me say that I was trying to get insurance. And then see a doctor, and you'll hear me break down why I didn't have insurance due to targeting, etc., etc. And that I went to the ER and I was seen briefly and I didn't really feel like I got a thorough check, etc., etc. Well, I did finally see a doctor. So this is just an update, y'all. I don't want to, like I said, restate things I said already. Check out these last 2 videos before you listen to this one, because I'm not going to repeat things I've said already. So nonetheless, what happened after that improper deadlift was, I believe that either some form of early stage bladder prolapse occurred. It's called cystocele. You have 4 different types of organ prolapse that happens. You have rectal organ prolapse, where your rectum drops down and it could actually start to protrude out of your anus. You have, I know it sounds vulgar, y'all. It's really some gnarly stuff, and a lot of females deal with it. Apparently, it's very common with females, especially after pregnancy. It's not typical for a young female that hasn't had children, but I'm a heavy weightlifter. And then on top of things, the things that are going on with me, right? So anyways, so you have rectal prolapse, and this happens to men too that are power lifters if they're not lifting properly. Years ago, I had seen this happen before. There was this guy that was squatting and his whole rectum was coming out of his behind. And back then I didn't know it was prolapse. It was in high school. I just saw the picture and I thought it looked gnarly. And now I know what it is, right? So anyway, you have rectal prolapse, you have uterine prolapse, and that's where your uterus is coming out and it's dropping down and coming out through your vaginal opening. You have cystocele prolapse, which is what I believe I have, where your bladder drops down and it might start to protrude through your vaginal opening. And then you have, I forgot what the other one is called. It's something with an E, and it's that portion in between the rectum and the front private part. I forget what it's called. It's something with an E. I can't remember the name of it. That one's less common anyway, y'all. So females typically get either the cystocele or the uterine, especially after childbirth. It's very common apparently. And from what I was seeing with the research I was doing, almost all women get some form of prolapse or dropping of the organs when they go through childbirth. It's just some women get it real bad where it's hanging out and stuff like that. That's why they say you have different stages of prolapse, but you can get it from weightlifting if you're not doing it properly. So if you're lifting super heavy like I was doing, them super heavy deadlifts, like 315 pounds, 400 pounds, that type of stuff like that, you have to lift properly, because that's a lot of pressure to put on the pelvic floor and your organs can drop. And I didn't even know I was putting myself in risk like that. I was never fearful because I'm so anal about whatever I get interested in. I get very passionate about it, and I learn everything there is to know about anything that I'm interested in, that I make sure my form is good. My form is real good, typically. The only time I can recall having bad form with the deadlift, aside from what happened in the new gym where I believe my bladder dropped, was in the old gym when I deadlifted 300 for the first time. And they were doing a bunch of gang stock and stuff in the background. The first 5 was nice and smooth. My form was proper. It felt good. And then they were doing stuff in the background. And I remember just at that point getting in that mode I get in when they start to gang stock. And I started forcing it. And I knew I was tired and I knew that I was through and that my form was starting to break. When you go super heavy with weight, there's a point where your nervous system starts to give out. That's the thing about lifting heavy. Your nervous system will often give out before your muscles do. So it's hard to go to failure when you're lifting super heavy. So you want to do like a mix of things. You want to do like moderate weight, and that's the weight you really try to get to failure with, but you do want to do some super heavy reps to build strength and testosterone. So anyways, I did feel that start happening. My nervous system was getting weak and tired and my form was breaking. But because they were doing shit in the background, gang stock and stuff, I wanted to prove a point. And so I forced another 5 reps and my back was hunched like crazy. And I believe I got a back injury then, because I remember feeling this tightening back there, and then my obliques on both sides felt tight. And that was where I noticed they looked kind of prominent, my obliques. So I believe an injury occurred there and I didn't even realize it in that moment. And only now that I got this real bad injury here in the new gym did I start to notice my obliques and my lower back, and I remembered what happened in the old gym. So anyways, then I had bad form, and then recently in the new gym with this gang stalker that I told y'all had apparently malicious intent, and I didn't realize it in the moment when he was interacting with me. Anyway, so I got Bassity when he was helping me load up the plates or flustered, and I had him put, 4 plates on the left side of the barbell, and I put 2 plates on the right side of the barbell. So it's 6 plates in total that I had on the barbell. 4 plates were on the left side and 2 plates were on the right side. And so it was an improper, imbalanced 315-pound deadlift. And so what ended up happening was, I think that made my bladder drop or start to drop. I think that was the start of stage 1 cystocele prolapse. I believe, I'm not sure. I still don't know what's going on. I've seen 2 doctors very briefly where they very briefly looked at me And they were telling me they don't think that's what it is. I hope they're that's for real. I'm praying that's for real. Who would want to have prolapse? I'm praying that's for real. I don't know, but this is what I was told because, if you listen to my experience with the doctor in the ER, I talked about it in the health scare video or the no losses video. I can't remember which one. I think I talked about it in both of them. Just talking about the fact that, I just felt like I was brushed off a little bit. That's all I'm saying. It's not like I don't feel like she did her job or anything like that. I think she did thoroughly feel me. I felt her feel me. She felt me. She was kind. She didn't, she wasn't even scornful. She didn't even put on gloves. She was, kind. Not to say if you put on gloves, you're scornful. Most doctors do put on gloves. But I'm just saying, it's like she was moving kind and she wasn't moving scornful or like a bitch or whatever. So even if she had adverse feelings towards me, which I'm sure she did, she didn't show it. But it's just the fact that I didn't feel like I was heard or thoroughly looked at. I'm just being honest. I left still feeling like I wasn't sure about what was going on. And then I didn't have insurance to see an actual doctor at the time. So I remember being scared before I decided to take the reins in my own hand and heal myself. But anyway, so she told me to lie down because what happened was, here's what happened, y'all. I talked about it in the last 2 videos. That incident with that gang stalker occurred. And I did feel like this pain in my lower back, but I didn't feel any activity in the front. It's not like I felt my bladder drop in the moment. I didn't. There was no bulge in the front area. Nothing of the sort. If anything, I just felt the tightness in my obliques and in my lower back. And then the next day, of all weeks for me to do this, on the days where I typically work my abs out, I go to the gym and do it. I decided to do a new ab workout at the house instead. And I decided to lay on the floor and do crunches to failure. And as I was doing them, I kept feeling this pulling tight feeling down by my bladder and my TMI, y'all. This is just where it was at, what the feeling I'm describing. And by my private parts, it was this tight, straining feeling. It was very painful. But I just chalked it up as being a part of the experience. And I just need to push through the pain. I'm used to pushing through pain as a workout person. But you have to be able to decipher between healthy and normal workout pain, like muscle tearing, and then injury pain, like you're hurting yourself. And I didn't catch on that I was hurting myself. So I kept doing the push-ups, doing them to failure till I physically could not do another crunch. And I remember after that whole lower area was sore and my abs and everything, but I still didn't feel a pressure down there and I didn't see a bulge. So then the day after that, I ended up going to do my sprints. And instead of doing my sprints in the neighborhood uphill like I normally do, that day it had rained a little bit. So I went to the field by the college, the local college here on island, and the ground is flat. And so sprinting uphill, I know this sounds crazy because you would think going up an incline would be more difficult. It actually helps with sprinting. It helps with your form, and it actually puts less pressure on you. When you sprint flat on the floor, it puts more pressure on you, and it's actually more taxing on the body. So I had those 2 days of activity, the improper deadlift at 315 pounds. Then the next day, the crunches to failure where it felt like I tore up myself. And then the day after that, I went to the university and I sprinted like a track star. And I ran and I ran and I ran and I ran, right? And I felt pressure. I kept feeling like this slight pressure down there and this pain. I was like, I just chalked it up as being sore. I thought it was just from crunching, the soreness. And this creepy man is still in the thing trying to get my attention. Why doesn't he have shame? I'm sitting here talking. He's still by the gate like a weirdo trying to get my attention. I cannot deal with it. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm not meaning for y'all to be hearing this in the video, It's just, he's been out there, I kid you not, since this morning doing stuff. And then I went to sleep hours later, y'all. I'm telling you, it was hours later. I woke up, he was still over there making weird noises trying to get my attention. And there's no shame box. You don't have no shame. Anyways, y'all. So then I was running like a track star, running. I remember, feeling, then I started to feel a little something down there, but I thought again that it was just soreness from doing the crunches because I was so freaking sore I couldn't even lie on my stomach. I was like, damn, I got to do this more often. I was like, those crunches were the thing. I was like, I haven't been this sore from an ab workout in so long. I'm going to do that from now on. The day after doing the running like a track star, the day after I wake up in the morning, I go to shower, I notice I'm feeling this pressure. I look down and my whole vagina is bulging. I actually thought it was a hernia. I'd never seen nothing like that in my life. excuse the poor grammar, I had never seen anything like that in my life. My whole vagina was bulging. So I got scared immediately. I thought hernia. So I flew out the shower, and I remember I ran to my mom's room and I was trying to show her what was going on. She said, "Oh my goodness." She was like, "You have a hernia, oh boy." You know, she and my dad, they thinking it's a hernia. My dad done start giving me bad news about how when he was younger, he used to lift heavy too, and he got a hernia, and that was it for him. He had to get this surgery, and then he got a second one, and he started telling me about this tea to take, but just know I can't weightlifting him. I said, heck no, I'm definitely not going to stop working out. I know this people get hernias all the time. Weightlifting, I'm sure people get hernias all the time. I'm sure there are ways around it. I know you could still weightlift with hernias. But nonetheless, I started doing my research and stuff, and what I was seeing and feeling more so matched what I saw for organ prolapse. Sister cell, to be exact, bladder organ prolapse. Furthermore, what I saw with hernias is actually, if you do get a hernia, they put a patch in, and they said the way the patch is put in, you could go back to lifting as heavy as you want after they do the surgery, as long as you heal. But nonetheless, it wasn't matching up with a hernia. The location of the bulge, the description of, what was going on, it more so fit the description of organ prolapse. The only thing that was missing was that I didn't have anything coming out of my private parts. Excuse the TMI. I didn't have anything coming out of my private parts. Yeah, anyway, I'm going to finish this video in a little bit because there's more talking that I have to do, and they're all engaging with me. I work tonight, so I'm probably going to finish this video tonight at work because there's more talking to do, and not much more, but there's a little bit more to do, and they're all paying attention to me and making noises. So I'll finish this later, all right? I'll be back. Anyways, y'all, it's the next day or next night actually, and I'm back to finish the video. Let me hurry up and wrap it up. So yeah, after doing my research, long story short, y'all, the consensus I came to is this is either a really bad muscle strain that caused some sort of lymphatic drain fluid to build up in the area, or like I was saying in the last clip, it's like some sort of minor early stage sister cell, i.e. bladder organ prolapse. So I saw a second doctor. I finally got to see the doctor. That's what the update is, y'all. Finally got to see a doctor. I got insurance. I got Medicaid. I went into the clinic. I was able to get checked out by a doctor. Similar to the other doctor, she felt me up. And she told me she thinks it's, first of all, the two bulges on my side, but near the location of my hip, above the hip bone, basically, where your love handles are, or your obliques if you're someone that works out. Those areas, she told me, feels normal, and she feels like I just have defined obliques, probably from deadlifting. And she felt my bladder area, and she told me she doesn't feel a hernia, but, maybe it's a muscle strain. So she said basically the same thing the last doctor said. And I said, well, there was a bulge in my vagina. What do you think that was? She said, muscle. I said, muscle? And it was a huge bulge. And I said, is there some sort of ultrasound or something you can do? And she said, yeah, we can order an ultrasound. So she did order a pelvic ultrasound. I also have an appointment with an OBGYN for the clinic. So I'm going to get thoroughly checked out, and we're going to figure out what's going on. Long story short, I'm praying that it really was just a muscle strain, and maybe what I do think it could have been was lymph fluid filling up in the area. And it was just a really bad muscle strain. Anyway, nonetheless, y'all, the update is I did see the doctor, and I have some follow-up appointments. So I'll keep you abreast of the situation and let you know what the diagnosis is. But I did, like I told you, before I got to see the doctor, it's been 2 weeks. I just got to see the doctor a few days ago. Before I got to see the doctor, I immediately did a 5-day juice fast. I changed my diet up. You're going to hear me talking about it in the next clip, how I changed up my diet and stuff. I'm pescatarian now. I was planning to do that anyway, but the injury just kind of prompted or facilitated what I was already planning to do. Anyway, so I did a 5-day juice fast, and I'm not going to sit here and give you the scientific breakdown behind fasting and the healing process, etc. I would just say look into it. If you don't know anything about it, look into autophagy, autophagy, autophagy. And what that means is self-eat. Auto is self, and phagy is eat. So self-eat. And what is it? This is when you fast, your body goes through a process called autophagy. And basically, you're going to start recycling. What's going to happen is the body is going to start to eat damaged cells. So there's a process where your body's going through a starvation crisis, which is something that's supposed to happen. You're not supposed to be eating 24/7, like how we do with the standard American diet or even different parts of the world. It's not like back in the day where we were hunter-gatherers and we had periods of time where we were not eating. Those times were important because those were times where the body healed itself and the body would eat up damaged cells. And if there was anything going awry in the body, it would heal. Stem cells are produced when you're fasting. So it's not just like a process where it's not just a process where it's like this cleanup where the body's eating damaged cells, but it's also like a regeneration where your body is creating stem cells. And so those stem cells go anywhere in the body where there's damage. So that's why I did it, because I wanted the stem cell production. I wanted my body to eat up damaged tissue and to facilitate healing. So I did this 5-day juice fast, and I started doing pelvic exercises because from the research I did, you have 2 different types of prolapse. You have hypertonic and hypotonic. And what it is one is that things are very loose, which typically will happen after pregnancy. It's like a drop down because you have all this heavy weight on top of you, or it could be that your pelvis is super, super tight and, your bladder slipped through the muscle barrier because everything was squeezed up and tight, so it squeezed and it dropped down. And I believe that's what's going on with me, just because I've never had a child before. And just the circumstances with me. And I thought about the way that I've been working out and I don't warm up. And that's a big no-no. I know better. But typically I just don't feel like it. I just hop right into the workout. And they even sent me a video with the technology where they're showing how in your early 20s, you hop in the gym and you just do the workouts. And then when you start getting in your 30s, you have to warm up and stuff. That's, I'm moving like I'm in my 20s and I just made 34, y'all. Like, I'm not a spring chicken anymore. So anyways, I'm moving like that and I'm going in there and just hopping straight into the workout and I don't warm up. And all of that can create tension and tightness. And so I believe my pelvic floor, despite all the squatting and heavy lifting I do, I believe the lack of warming up and whatever else, that I was doing wrong. My form is always good. I always lift with proper form. So that's one thing I am doing. But I think the lack of warming up and whatever else created this super tight pelvic floor. And so I think that's what happened. I think my pelvic floor was tight, and then I did the improper deadlift and I was just doing too much that week. And I think that's what made my bladder squeeze through. But it's not dropping down where it's coming out of me because this wasn't from pregnancy or childbirth. So it's not a matter of things loosening up and needing to tighten. It's more so that it's too tight and so the thing squeezed through. My bladder squeezed through, and so it was like pushing through my pubic bone, if that's what was happening. Like I said, it could have been just a muscle strain and it could have just been lymphatic fluid that was built up in the area. I might not even have prolapse to begin with because that's extremely rare to happen to a female from heavy lifting. It can happen, but it's extremely rare. It typically happens from childbirth. So anyways, so whatever it is I was doing, it worked. It made a major difference. I noticed the big bulge that was in my vagina went away completely. And the pressure I was feeling this like extreme pressure down there. That's why I thought it was prolapse. I thought it was the pressure I was feeling was my bladder sitting lower than it was supposed to. It was like this heavy pressure and then this big, huge bulge. It was just really unsightly and scary. Anyway, I couldn't even sit for too long without my whole pelvis swelling up. They saw it. They're watching on the camera, the people that control the insects or whatever. I remember I was sitting at one of my posts for the 8-hour shift, and it was the end of the night and I went to pee. And I just happened to look up. I was checking myself every minute back then because I still had the bulge. I went to look in the mirror and I saw my whole pelvis was swollen. It was not only was my private part bulging, my whole pelvis was just swollen. It looked weird. It was just like it was scary, y'all. Anyway, so nonetheless, I did the 5-day juice fast and I've been doing the pelvic exercises. And the swelling's completely gone. The bulge is gone. The pressure is gone. So at this point, I'm like, am I better? Or, no, and I don't want to, hop back into squatting heavy, full throttle, and then next thing you know, I wasn't supposed to do that. So I'm waiting to get checked out and see what's really going on to just get the okay that I can squat heavy again. Excuse me, y'all. I'm about to sneeze. Excuse me, sorry. But I did start squatting again, and I've slowly started increasing the weight. I started at 65 pounds. Then I went up to 75 pounds. I got a little bit over ambitious about a week ago and I went up to 95 pounds. And when I did that, I noticed I felt this real tight feeling in my right oblique and it started to make me paranoid. So I went back down to 75 pounds. So that's just an update, y'all. Whatever it was I did, it definitely helped facilitate healing. And so now I'm just waiting to see the doctor and get like a diagnosis. Sorry, the noise campaign plane is flying by. To see the doctor and get a diagnosis to know what's really going on. Anyways, y'all, that's the update. So I'll keep you posted. I don't think there's anything else that needs to be said. I just wanted to update y'all. This is a documentation video. Like I told y'all, just documenting the many times that I was hit with energy weapons over the course of the last month and just giving y'all a brief update on my situation, my injury. So remember, y'all, the next clip is like a 17-minute video where not only did I document an energy weapon attack, but I went into detail about the nanobots and how you can get it out the body. It's informational. I gave some info, like brief info. Stuff I said in prior videos, like years ago. I haven't talked about this stuff in a while, though. And then after that, you're going to see a series of clips, mini clips, like 20-second long clips, where I just documented every time they were hitting me with the energy weapon. Anyway, so I'll talk to y'all in the next one. Peace out. Now this is documentation. The date is December 26th. It's Friday, 10:34 p.m. And they're humming on me, y'all, so I'm documenting it. Y'all know, just for my protection. I keep documenting when they're using these weapons on me randomly so I can protect myself. What's going on is, y'all, they use it on me all the time. I have so many multiple clips I'm planning to put together of documenting different dates where they've been hitting me with this thing. So if God forbid anything go awry with my health, I have the proof that they've been hitting me on this date, that date, that date, that date. They do it so often these days. Anyway, so when I came home earlier from the gym, I noticed that I was feeling the hum in my ear. So I said, wait, why are they humming on me? I said, what the heck? Let me document this. And as soon as I went to pick up the phone to document, they stopped doing it. So now, I went and I ate my food and stuff. I meal prep. Y'all know I work out and stuff. And I've been eating really healthy recently. I've been juicing. I changed my whole diet up. I'm not even drinking juice from the store. I'm making fresh juice from fruits. I'm pescatarian now. I'm eating a bunch of veggies. There's no reason why I should be feeling any type of tightness in my chest. Right? So before I went to sleep, I was feeling good. I've been feeling really good recently, like this light feeling. I can't explain it. A lot of the times I'll have like this tightness in my chest from stress and from them constantly hitting me with the energy weapon. I haven't really even been feeling that sensation recently. I've felt so good recently. And it was a diet change I was planning to make anyways, y'all. I just kept procrastinating. You know how it is when you feel like, okay, well, I'm young, I'm healthy, I'll get to it. I know I need to do better, but it was that kind of mentality, and I was more so focused on gaining size and mass than my health. I was like, eventually, I'm working out, so I know I'm healthy. Eventually, I'm going to change my diet. I knew I wanted to do this. I knew I wanted to start juicing and become pescatarian and cut certain things out and junk and blah, blah, blah. This was a plan. I even bought a juicer. That was the whole plan. But I kept procrastinating, and then I got the injury in the gym. And I was like, okay, no, I actually definitely need to do everything right so I can heal and recover. So that's what led to me doing what I was planning to do anyways. But nonetheless, now that I've been doing it, I feel so freaking good. I can't even explain it to you. Like that tightness that I used to feel in my chest, I barely feel it anymore. Unless they're really humming on me super hard. That's the only time I'm realizing or noticing nowadays that I feel it. So anyways, when I was going to document earlier, when I came in from the gym, they immediately stopped humming on me. So I was like, okay. I was like, I'm all right. They stopped. So I put the phone down and I didn't document it. I went to bathe. I ate food. I had salmon, sweet potato, broccoli, pineapple juice, fresh pineapple juice, whatever. Took my vitamins. I had beet juice, y'all, with pomegranate, 2 raw cloves of garlic. These are all things that open up the blood vessel. These are all vasodilators. Garlic is a vasodilator. Beets are a vasodilator. And pomegranates are vasodilators. So these are all things that open up your blood vessels. I should be feeling fine. And I was. So then I went to sleep. I knocked out because I have work tonight. I noticed I wake up, I'm feeling that tightness in my chest that I haven't felt in a while. I was like, why the hell am I feeling like this? This is typically how I feel after they've hit me with the energy weapon really hard. So I was like, what the hell? Why am I feeling like this? I said, I wonder if they were using it on me while I was sleeping. I'm like, why would they do that? I said, I wonder if they were doing that. I didn't accuse them. I didn't say they for sure were doing it, which is wickedness, by the way, if that's what was going on. But I didn't accuse them and say that that's what was going on or anything of the sort.
I just said, I wonder if that's what was going on, because that's what it felt like. I'm like, all the shit I did before I went to sleep, today of all days should not be the day that I'm feeling anything. I just drank beet juice that's full of nitric oxide. It has vasodilators in it. I had 2 cloves of garlic. I'm like, there's no reason why I should be feeling anything right now. I definitely shouldn't be feeling any tightness in my chest. So immediately I was thinking, I wonder if they were humming on me while I was sleeping. So anyways, I start looking up, because now I want to shield my room. Even if they weren't humming on me while I was sleeping, they do it all the damn time while I'm awake. So I've been wanting to shield my room. So I went over to some of these Targets that I used to look at like a couple years ago, like Tony Pantallaresco. I've talked about them in prior videos, and Michelle Angelic. And while I'm on Michelle's page, I'm seeing some horrible stuff with her. Like, something happened at her job, and she was trying to get help or whatever from the doctor, and she felt like she wasn't getting help and whatever was going on. But then they started shadow networking and putting weird stuff in the video. So I don't even know if that's what really happened with her, or if they were just putting stuff to mess with me and her. You know, they can do that with the technology, change videos up and stuff. So that's neither here nor there. But anyway, I listened to those videos, and then I eventually came off of it and just went to regular stuff. Like, I stopped looking at the targeted individual stuff. I know in my head I still want to shield my room, and I want to get an anti-nano bucket to pull nano out of the body, because it's a different type of heavy metal to regular heavy metals. You can get it out with diet, like with onions and garlic. You can get it out with that, but you have to eat copious amounts of garlic and onion to get it out with garlic and onion. Because I've talked about this years ago, y'all. I haven't talked about this stuff in a while. I have videos you can go back, dating back to about 2 years ago, where I was talking about this stuff and how to pull the nano out the body. The nano is a quasi metal. So it's not a regular heavy metal. So it's not like you could just drink, like how I'm drinking green juices and all the stuff I'm doing that will pull heavy metals out of the body. It's not like you can drink those things and just pull it out easy. Heavy metals have heavy metals have a positive charge. And most binders or things that you take to pull heavy metals out have a negative charge. So like zeolite, one of the top heavy metal binders that they recommend you take that pulls out heavy metals, zeolite has a negative charge. Cilantro and parsley, those are natural chelators and things that naturally pull heavy metals out the body. Those things have negative charges. All binders do. Charcoal has a negative charge. Diatomaceous earth has a negative charge. Bentonite clay has a negative charge. And heavy metals, most heavy metals, have a positive charge. So that's why you can pull them out with those binders. But the nano is a smart and very complicated heavy metal, and it's not even considered a regular heavy metal. It's called a quasi-metal. So it's like this mixed compound, and it actually has a negative charge like most binders. So a lot of people think you can pull it out with regular binders, and you can't. You can take onion and garlic, a lot of it, to start pulling it out, because it breaks down. I did my research on this. It breaks down the graphene oxide in the nano, but you would have to eat copious amounts of it to really do anything. Like, I'm talking probably bulbs of garlic, like 2-3 bulbs of garlic a day, if you want to break down the nano in the system. So, I mean, that's unrealistic. I just took one clove of garlic this morning, and I thought I was going to have to go to the ER because it was burning up my esophagus. So I discovered that drinking it with a little bit of pineapple juice kind of helps the burn. So I took 2 before I went to sleep. That's why I'm taking it, because I don't have an anti-nano bucket right now. And that's the other way to pull it out. And that's the real way that I would recommend, is creating an anti-nano bucket and using that as a way to pull the nano out of the body. You can do it via diet, like I said, but it's going to be really hard. I don't want to say virtually impossible. Maybe you're some sort of G that can take down 3 bulbs of garlic a day. I don't know, but just 2 cloves of garlic, 3 cloves of garlic had me in a chokehold, much less a whole bulb or a second bulb or a third bulb. That's too much. Anyway, so the garlic and onion too, but onion doesn't have it as much as garlic does. Garlic is higher in this compound. They're allium vegetables, and so they're high in allium. And so what happens is they can break down the graphene oxide, but like I said, you'd have to eat copious amounts of it, and it's really difficult. Another thing I saw that you can take orally is something called kaolin clay. Kaolin clay is similar to bentonite clay, activated charcoal, and diatomaceous earth, where it's a binder that passes through the body and can pull heavy metals and toxins out the body. But kaolin clay has these honeycomb structures that's layered and stacked on top of each other. So it creates this ionizing positive effect. So when it goes into your body, it no longer has a negative charge, it has a positive one. So it can pull the nano out the body if you take it orally, but it's difficult still because it's hard for the nano to absorb into it due to its layered, stacked on top structure. The way that it's stacked on top of itself, the structure with the kaolin clay, it's stacked on top of itself. Its structure, if you look at it under a microscope. So even though it does have this ionizing positive effect when it gets in the body, it still will have trouble pulling the nano out due to its structure. So I remember a couple years ago, I was taking the kaolin clay, I ordered it online, and I was taking it with a fat soluble. I was taking it with milk. I would mix it with milk and then take it in hopes of it somehow absorbing. I didn't know if that would work or not. I was hoping that that would somehow help with absorption. That's what I was thinking in my head because I was thinking about turmeric powder and how your body can't absorb turmeric powder unless you do something like golden milk, where you put it with milk, which is a fat soluble, and cayenne pepper, which opens up the blood vessels. So I was thinking, well, maybe that's the same thing with the kaolin clay. If I take it with a fat soluble like milk and cayenne pepper, maybe this will make it be able to absorb the nano, but that's too risky. I don't really know. I'm just doing my own science shit from the research I've done. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. So the only proven way that I know to take this fucking, excuse my language, shit out your body is using an anti-nano bucket. From the research I've done, and then also going to other targets that look into this shit like I do, like Tony Pantallaresco and Michelle Angelic, they were talking about that anti-nano bucket. Because the nano is not just a quasi-metal, but it's also some sort of programmed bot. So, the structure is graphene oxide. It's graphene, but these are processed and programmed bots. Why come home right now while I'm doing this? But these are programmed bots. It's annoying. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm trying to do this video right here now. I'm just hearing noise in the background. Anyway, so it's I forgot what I was saying now. That distracted me. The nanos are programmed bots that are put in your body, right? So they could do all kinds of stuff in your body. It's scary. They could program it to do whatever in your body. Anyway, so how you shut it down, though, is an EMP, electromagnetic pulse, is how you can shut the nano down and make it inactive in your body. So you can create an EMP by putting certain things together. It's wires that you have to put together. I have a video where I showed y'all how to create the anti-nano bucket. You got to use magnets, and you have to set them up around the diameter of a bucket. But underneath, you need copper wiring, and it has to be tightly coiled copper wiring, negative and positively charged copper wiring. And it has to be wrapped around the bucket in a certain way. And then you attach the magnets, but so that they're polar each other, so that they're deflecting off of each other. So you know how you can put the magnet together where they stick together? But if you turn both sides around and you try to push it together, there's like this force in between, this magnetic force where they're actually deflecting off of each other. That's how you're supposed to glue it to the bucket. I have a video showing y'all how to make the anti-nano bucket. I learned it from Tony Pantallaresco and Michelle Angelique. So if you put that together and you also put the tightly wrapped copper wiring together, and then you hook it up to an electrical source. You have to take a computer cord, cut the top of it, plug it into the wall. It's just like a science project, but I felt like I was back in high school doing a science project. But when you put that together on the bucket, I made one before, it's going to create this magnetic charge and this very small EMP, electromagnetic pulse. And so I was able to create one. I made one 3 years ago, and I tested it out. There's a compass you put in between, and the compass will start jumping back and forth if the EMP is active. So I made an electric magnetic pulse, and I put the water in. There's a solution, an electrolyte solution you put in the bucket, inside the bucket. While it's going in, it's going to bubble up and actually pull the nano out of your body. It's going to deactivate the nano and pull it out your body. But I didn't get the right wiring. And I remember getting discouraged. I never went back and tried to do it again, because it took me hours to put I made the bucket 2 times, and twice I got the wrong type of wiring. So I was able to create the electromagnetic pulse, but I wasn't able to create a strong enough electromagnetic pulse. So I feel like it was ineffective. Like it was doing something, but I don't feel like it was doing enough to pull this shit out my body. And so then I saw online that Tony Pantallaresco's people create the bucket for you and you can pay for it. Right? So I have it. I still have the thing saved. I said, you know what? Eventually I'm just going to order it. But then things started getting better with my targeting, and I didn't feel like they were hitting me with weapons as hard. You know, around the time when I created the anti-nano bucket was when they, I feel like they were hitting me with radiation and all kinds of stuff. This was back in 2023. Things started getting better in my targeting. I started working out and stuff. So in my head, I just put the anti-nano bucket to the side, but I still feel like, obviously the technology's in me. The neural monitoring is happening. They can hear my thoughts in real time. So the tech is still in there. So for me, I'm just concerned about the health, the negative health effects, because those things create biofilms in the body and sludge in the body. And you could be eating as healthy as ever and working out and all this type of stuff like that. If they're hitting you with the damn energy weapon and you still got this shit in your body, the nano, it can still have negative effects. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing too, right? Because I wanted to heal my body, but then in my head, I also wanted to be as healthy as possible with this shit in my body. And with the things I'm doing, the cilantro, the parsley, the garlic, the whatever else, it is going to pull some of it out, but not enough, not significantly enough to where it's like not in there, null and void. Even with the anti-nano bucket, it's impossible to pull it all out. Everyone has it in them, but targets have it at a higher concentration. They literally put the shit in your body, inject it into you. Anyway, so in my head, I'm just like, every time they're humming on me and stuff, and I wake up, I'm feeling weird. I'm like, it reminds me that I want to get the anti-nano bucket, first of all, but I also want to shield my room. I really want to shield my freaking room so I don't have to deal with this damn energy weapon attack shit anymore. When they're in a bad mood or whatever, pissed off about something with me, they just hit me with the weapon. It's just unfair and not right. It's inhumane. So anyways, that's what I was looking into, right? And then I just got off looking into that stuff. I started looking into that stuff later. And I laid back down because pretty soon I have to get up for work. Actually, I have to get up in the next 40 minutes for work. So I said, let me just try to relax for the last 40 minutes before I have to get up for work. So while I'm laying there trying to relax, I'm just listening to this dude I like to listen to. He has a very soft voice. I talked about this in prior videos that I am into ASMR. And I like listening to people that have soft voices and stuff. It makes me feel relaxed. I've been that way since a child. And then when I got older in college, I even told my older sister about it. I was like, I like to hear people with soft voices talking. And so she knows that about me. And she was always saying she thought people with soft voices were annoying. So anyway, we're like the opposite in that way. But I found this community of people called ASMR, the ASMR community. Apparently there are like millions of people out there that are like me that like to hear people with soft voices reading and stuff like that. Anyway, so there's this guy I found that like does ASMR, and he just has a soft, chill voice, and he has like this irie vibe that's totally my energy, and I like the way he talks, and I just like his vibe and stuff. So I'm listening to him all day long now. They keep, of course, using the Shadow Network to put a bunch of bullshit in his videos. So I'm laying there trying to listen, trying to relax and start putting a bunch of bullshit in the video, and they're doing all kind of noise campaign, of course, in the neighborhood in the background. Then they start to really hum on me hard. I'm like, what the hell? My ears are popping like crazy now. I'm like, damn, they are really doing it hard. I'm like, I just recovered, because what I did was what I typically do when I start feeling that feeling is I'll take some cayenne pepper and some water, and immediately after I start feeling better. So that's what I did. I'm finally feeling better after I woke up feeling kind of funny. I'm like, why the hell do I feel like this? And I just had 2 cloves of garlic before I went to sleep. I drank beet juice, which is a vasodilator. I'm like, there's no reason why I should be feeling like this. I'm like, were they humming on me while I was sleeping? So anyways, they start humming on me super hard. So that's why I started making this video to document the stupidness. I'm like, why are they humming on me this hard? Anyways, y'all, so I just wanted to document. Anyways, I'll talk to you in the next one. Peace out. Y'all, more documentation. This is another night, yet again, that they're using the hum sadistically on me. It's now December 5th. Another night I've gotten off work that they're using the hum on me. And I've already discussed the effects it's having on my body with the dysphagia, shortness of breath, etc. This is another night that they're doing it. I'm documenting. Hey y'all, it's December 5th again, still December 5th. It's now 6:57 a.m. in the morning. I woke up, I put a video on my YouTube, and I noticed my ear started feeling that popping sensation.
They're humming on me at 6:57 a.m. in the morning, y'all. On December 5th, 2025, for no reason. Direct energy weapon attack. And they know I have the gym today too. Trying to interfere with my system or something. No reason, y'all. Just random direct energy weapon attacks. Documentation.
Y'all, the date is December 9th at 4:57 a.m. Laying here in my bed, I made a video. Y'all, or I finished a video that I had started making a couple days ago. Just documenting some unfair treatment, etc. Then I fell asleep and I wake up here now and I feel like I'm being hummed on. I can't hear it good. They're raining. But even through the rain, I can feel the sensation. It usually creates like just systematic discomfort for me. I know the feeling well. And so although my ears aren't popping as strongly as when they have it turned up all the way, I still suspect it's happening because my ears still feel slightly affected. And like I said, just that systematic discomfort, I know the feeling. I've been dealing with it for so long. And it's to the point where it's caused a new bout of dysphagia. That, with this hum thing, they do it off and on. Like, they'll do it for months on end, torture me with it, and then they'll lay off for a little bit. And whenever they're doing it, it causes dysphagia, difficulty swallowing. So I'm having another bout of that. We're just in general having trouble swallowing. But it's also too just in the moment right now, like the direct effect, because the dysphagia is like an after effect, a long lasting effect. Immediate effect or symptoms include shortness of breath, chest pressure a little bit, just feeling kind of upset in the stomach. And I wouldn't describe it as nausea per se, but just like this empty, gassy kind of, I just can't really explain the feeling. I know the feeling well. It just feels terrible. So not only am I dealing with a prolapse, right, that I attribute to gang stalking activity and distraction and everything else that's going on around me, but now I'm dealing with what seems to be a random, unwarranted energy weapon attack. So I'm just documenting what's going on, y'all, and keeping y'all updated. Talk to you in the next one. Peace out. Y'all, this is more documentation. It's December 11th at 12:30 a.m. I've come home from work and again, they have the energy weapon going and my ears are popping. I'm dealing with a medical emergency or crisis. I think it's a prolapse, but I'm not certain. I saw some scary stuff online. I think they were trying to fearmonger and freak me out when I was looking online for stuff. But nonetheless, it's like I'm dealing with this medical emergency. The catalyst or the start of it really was gang stalking last week that led to distraction. If you check out my last video on YouTube, you'll hear the whole story. And so I believe I have a prolapse. I'm dealing with this medical emergency. It's like a whole life-changing type thing that I have to do therapy for and all this type of stuff like that. They're still humming on me. Like, I cannot make sense of it. And then they make it like I'm the psychopath or the sociopath or the person with no emotions. How could you do that to somebody? They never see me crying. They probably could count on their one hand the amount of times they've seen me cry since the targeting started. When I found out about this thing, I was bawling my eyes out. Not bawling in the sense like, ugh, I'm just not that type of person. But they saw me crying. Anyways, y'all, so just documentation. I'm getting hit with another energy weapon. I just have to keep documentation. I have videos dating back to 2023 where they were hitting me with these energy weapons. I also talked about getting hit with radiation in 2023. So it's been 3 years of hardcore stress, trauma, and direct energy weapon attacks throughout the duration of the targeting. So I'm just keeping documentation, y'all. I'm now dealing with a medical crisis. All right, peace out. Y'all, it's December 12th, 1:14. I just got off work a little while ago at 12 a.m. When I came home, I heard the direct energy weapon going off. I showered. The shower was interfered with. The water was coming out at a low decibel. I'm now in bed and they're humming on me randomly again. They had stopped using the direct energy weapon after the shower. I noticed I had the fan on and the sound blends in with the fan if you have the fan going. The only reason I even know it's happening is because my eardrums start to pop. And I just eventually start feeling just horrible.
So anyways, y'all, just documenting more abuse for no reason. And also still dealing with what could possibly be a prolapse, a life-changing thing that they played a part in. And they're sadistically torturing me more with energy weapon attacks. All right, y'all. Peace out.
Y'all, this is more documentation. The date is December 13th. It's 1:33 a.m. I'm at work. As you all know, I'm dealing with the injury that I incurred from the poor deadlift that happened at the gym due to gang stalking. Anyway, so I'm at work and I didn't get to rest. Unfortunately, my car had issues earlier and I had to take it to the mechanic. So I had to borrow a relative's car to work, but I was unable to get rest. So typically I don't start feeling tired until around 4 a.m., 5 a.m. But as soon as I got on shift, I was exhausted. I'm sitting upright, sitting up straight, and still feel myself like I'm nodding off, and catching myself. As soon as I nodded off, and I looked at the time too, so it had to be right away that the supervisor pulled up, because I had just written in the book and everything, and it had said 1:11, and she pulled up at 1:18, because she knocked on the door loudly, and that's what startled me out of having nodded off. So I started nodding off, and then she knocked on the door, and that startled me out of nodding off. So anyways, the startle made my heart start feeling funny. And I'm young, y'all. I'm only 33. I work out. Y'all know I work out actively, aside from the injury I recently incurred due to gang stalking. Anyway, I work out. I eat relatively healthy. I do slip up and eat junk here and there, but I eat relatively healthy. I drink healthy juices. I'm only 33. There's no reason why I should have heart issues or should feel like I don't have heart issues, y'all. But I am dealing with recently, like a spike in my blood pressure. Not high blood pressure, but like pre-hypertension levels off and on due to stress, trauma, energy weapon attacks, etc. So I'm sitting here, and the nod off did happen. Like I said, I didn't get to rest. Immediately, the supervisor had pulled up. So she knocked on the door, and it startled me. And I jumped and I opened the door for her. But the startling made me feel funny. And this has happened to me before. This is not the first time where I was startled out of having nodded off or, fall asleep on myself. And then I start feeling like this kind of funny feeling in my chest. So anyway, I just immediately took cayenne pepper and water. And I said, let me just go for a walk outside. And that started helping the feeling. It started helping a lot. And I put my feet in the dirt and, just earthing. I know about natural health things to heal yourself. So while I'm standing there in the dirt, trying to just get some electrical charge from the earth and just get some energy and oxygen in my body, I start hearing noises around the premises. I'm in a premises with a lot of office buildings and stuff, y'all, but it's after hours and no one's here but me. It's supposed to be, right? Immediately, I start hearing noise canceling. My brain ticked a little bit. And remember, I explained to you all, ticking just means that it feels like stuff is popping in your head that you can't really control. Almost like Tourette's syndrome. It's just a weird thing that happens with targets. I know a lot of targets talk about it. It's psychological. And sometimes they push stuff in your head with the technology they can. Anyway, my brain ticked just a little, but I heard noise off to the left somewhere. Of course, they have gang stalkers on the premises somewhere in the darkness staring at me on camera. So I heard noise off to the left. I said, what the heck? And so I remember looking up and I said, wow, somebody's over there looking at me while I'm here trying to catch my breath. Then I hear again to the right side, somewhere off in the distance to the right. I said, oh my, why are they doing this? I said, you see me here trying to recover from an anxiety attack and what felt like a weird feeling in my chest. You know I'm here by myself. You know I'm not going to harm anyone. So you're not doing it because you think I'm going to harm anyone. You're doing it because you're sadistically trying to inflict more pain and suffering when you see me already here suffering. So I made the comment that it's like sadistic. And I've said this in videos before because there was a point in time where they kept sending me videos about serial killers and just everything they sent to me is like more so the characteristics that they exhibit. Like they just send me horrible stuff and I'm like, this is more like what you're doing and how you are. So I'm like, I'm standing here just trying to catch myself. I'm not doing anything to anyone. Nobody's around. You're literally just making the noises as psychological warfare to inflict torture while you see me here already trying to recover from what felt like an anxiety attack and a weird feeling in my chest. You're trying to make it worse. I said, it's just straight sadistic. It's sadism. I said that, they start to turn on the energy weapon and hum in my ear. Now remember, that causes systemic discomfort and it puts pressure on the chest and you see me already trying to recover from what felt like pressure on my chest. It feels like they're trying to, you know what? I have to record, yeah. It's getting really bad in the targeting. It's getting real bad. I have to document it. I'm like, they just be doing real wicked stuff to me. Like, fearful for my life. I'm telling you, I am fearful for my life. Y'all, the date is December 15th and it's 4 a.m. in the morning. I got up because I was feeling some stomach cramps and I had to cuckoo or poop, y'all. We say cuckoo in the island that I'm from. It just means poop, defecate. I had to use the toilet. So I wanted to use the toilet, y'all. I came back in the room. Do you know they're hitting me with the energy weapon for no reason? And they have it high in my ear, super high. And since I've gotten the injury, I've also noticed I started feeling like this slightly tight kind of feeling, like to the left, in the middle of my chest, kind of like to the middle of my chest or the very beginning of my left breast, starting at the middle of the chest. That area feels a little tight. I don't know if it's a lymph node that's swollen due to the injury, stress, trauma, from them hitting me with energy weapons and constantly attacking me. But I just want to document, and they keep sending me scary, weird stuff with the technology too. First, they sent me something about lymphoma, which is lymph cancer of the lymph nodes. God forbid. I rebuke it in the name of Jesus Christ. And I actually do have a younger brother that had that cancer when he was a child. Mind you, the doctors said that it was not the genetic version. They have certain cancers that they claim are, I don't want to say claim, like I'm being conspiratorial, but, in the health community, a lot of us believe that cancer is not genetic and it's due to your diet and your lifestyle. But in the medical community, they do have certain cancers that they consider to be genetic due to certain genes. Whatever it is, what my brother had, they said was not genetic. So what are the odds that he would have lymphoma and I would have it? So God forbid if I do have that, God forbid I rebuke it in the name of Jesus Christ. That's them. With the years of torture and hitting me with energy weapons, etc. God knows what else. They inserted technology, nanobots in my body without my consent. You know how it is when you're targeted. Brain to computer interface technology, neural monitoring, RFID chip, etc. So they were sending me stuff about lymphoma, then they sent me something about breast cancer, and then about infections, just scary stuff, man. And I'm going through what I'm going through, dealing with this injury and trying to heal myself. So I'm just documenting everything because of the horrible treatment, the torture for no reason. Like, I just, in case, God forbid, I rebuke it. Something with my health, it was that, all the stuff that they have been doing with these energy weapons and stuff. Anyway, that's it, yeah. I just wanted to document. All right. The time is 2:09, and it's December 18th. 2:09 a.m., y'all. I'm at work and they're randomly humming on me. Random hum attack. I don't know why. And they know I'm fasting too. So I don't know really what they're trying to do. But documenting another random hum attack and torture. Y'all, the time is 1:18 a.m. and it's December 19th. And yet again, I'm being hit with a direct energy weapon. I woke up out of my bed like most people do at this hour, needing to pee. You know, that happens sometimes. I went to pee. I saw somebody was in the bathroom. So I do have some sort of like gallon bottle TMI that I use in here. I cut in half, and in the case of an emergency where I need to pee, I pee in it, and I have a bag that I can put paper in. I know that's a TMI. Some people have this going on, right? Especially if you live in a house with multiple people and you share one bathroom. So it's like my backup plan if I need to, right? So now I go to the bathroom. I see that somebody's in there, so I come back in here and I'm planning to use that instead. Before I can even pull it out to use it, my ears start popping. Like, I realize that they're using the energy weapon on me for no reason. It's like a psychopath, a sadistic, deranged psychopath is running the technology. It's like the attacks are becoming more and more frequent and for no reason. Because I went to use the bathroom? Like, you're finding any reason to hit me with the energy weapon at this point. It's getting really bad. And they know it has an adverse effect on me. Anyways, y'all, I'm just more documentation. I have to keep up, but just in case, God forbid, something happens to me. They've been hitting me with this thing consistently now for months. All right, peace out. Now it's the same night. It's December 19th. It's now 2:15 a.m. I'm still trying to get back to sleep. And I'm dealing with a random attack tonight, it seems like, or this morning. Now they have one of the nasty stink-ass roach drones that they like to use on me. They like to use these nasty stink-ass cockroaches that fly. They have it out now walking around on the roof so that I can't lay comfortably because they've flown them on me before. So they know that I'm not going to feel comfortable laying down now. And they're humming on me again. So it's a random attack tonight, y'all. Documenting. Random torture attack. Y'all, it's December 20th, 10:47 a.m. and I'm being attacked with energy weapons again. My ears are popping. They're using the energy weapon that makes me have difficulty swallowing on me again. They've been using it like crazy these last few months. Like crazy on me. And it has an adverse effect on me and they know it. And they keep using it over and over and over throughout the day. And I don't know what kind of long-term effect this thing can have on me. I have so many clips of me documenting every time they use it on me. This is what I'm starting to do. I'm keeping a paper trail of every time they hit me with this thing. So again, random attack, they're hitting me with the energy weapon. My ears are popping. It's 10:48 a.m. Y'all, the date is December 21st and it's 11:43 p.m. I'm about to leave for work, and again, while I'm getting ready, I'm hearing my ears popping and they're hitting me with the energy weapon for no reason. Sadism and torture for no reason. And they know that it causes swallowing issues, etc. And it's been real bad, y'all, this last month. It's like every minute they're using it on me. I don't really understand why they're torturing me or doing this for no reason. I don't know what they're getting out of it other than pleasure for being a sadistic psycho. So that's what I'm dealing with. I just keep getting hummed on for no reason. And it does have negative effects on me. I have difficulty swallowing, shortness of breath, etc. And they keep doing it. So this is another video with me documenting me being attacked with this energy weapon. Y'all, the time is 5:22 a.m. I'm at work. They randomly started sending horrible... Sorry, I had my mask on, y'all. I wear it at work. The time is 5:22 a.m. It's December 22nd, my birthday, actually. I'm 34 now, y'all. And still targeted. Anyway, they randomly started sending horrible stuff with the technology, as usual. I'm pretty sure they got triggered because I looked at a Facebook story. That was when it started happening, when they started sending the weird stuff. This is usually what causes it, or something of that nature. Anyway, so they started sending horrible stuff with the technology, and I started responding with my thoughts about the gaslighting stupidness that they were sending. And now they're humming on me, y'all. And in the last clip or documentation, you heard me saying that this is something they're doing consistently now, despite knowing that it causes swallowing difficulty for me, shortness of breath, etc., other systematic discomfort. And I don't know if this thing, God forbid, would have a long-term effect on me. That's why I'm being so specific and particular about the things I eat, working out, taking care of myself. Again, being hit for no reason. My ears are popping, y'all. Random attack on my birthday. This is documentation.